everyone. Hello, hello. I'm so excited to be back live for another Level Up Live panel with some amazing poshers. As everyone's joining us live, feel free to drop the city you're joining us from and your closet name. We're so excited to have you guys join us tonight. I'm gonna give people just a few minutes to start joining us. Always takes a minute for all of our friends to show up. So come in the door, get cozy, grab a drink. We're gonna have an exciting discussion here tonight. First, I'd love to introduce myself. My name's Adiel. You may know me in the app as Rose Gold Lining. I head up the community development team at Poshmark, so I'm really excited to be coming at you live from my home to chat with three amazing poshers, talking all about their Poshmark experience and the very best posh tips. So please help me say hello and welcome. You may know them in the app as Styled by Senna, Fab Fashion 123, and Fashion Boost. Please say hello to Serena, David, and Casey.
Hi.
Welcome, you guys.
Hey.
Hello.
And again, for those of you joining us live tonight, welcome again. Please feel free to drop your questions, your posh tips, and be sure to include your Poshmark username so we can all stay connected after the fact. So let's get started. Are you guys ready?
Indeed.
Yep.
Awesome. So before we get into the meat of it all, I want to just do some quick introductions. I'd love to go around Serena, Casey, David. I'd love for you guys to share your closet name, where you're from, and how you would describe what you carry in your closet. Take it away, Serena.
Hi, so my name's Serena, also known as Styled by Senna, and I'm from New Jersey. So I would describe my closet as very girly. There's everything that I sell is from my personal closet. So it's everything that I would personally want to wear and that I've loved. Like one of the dresses I'm wearing right now, it's probably going to end up in my Poshmark account at some point, sooner or later. But it's everything that I have is just really girly. It's very chic and kind of trendy too. So you should definitely check it out if that's your style.
Hello, everyone. I'm David. My closet name is Fab Fashion 123. I'd say my closet is kind of whatever catches my eye. When I was able to go out actually sourcing whatever brand name, whatever good deal, style, quality really caught my eye, I would add and list to my Poshmark. So it's really a large variety of predominantly women's, because that's what Poshmark is really geared towards in a large part of that market, but also men's. And of course, when I started off, it was a lot of my stuff. And now that I'm back home, it's now becoming a lot of my stuff again. So yeah.
And you, Casey?
Hi guys, I'm Casey. My closet is at Fashion Boost. I'm from California, and I'd say the majority of my items are, California style. I did also start out by selling my own items, so that is what the majority of it is, but I have definitely branched out into a little bit of men's and a little bit of home, so I feel like there's definitely something for everyone in my closet.
Certainly. And I think that's a very natural place for most people to have started, is selling from their own closet. It's a great, who doesn't have a little something in their closet that they're just not wearing anymore? I know I'm very guilty of that. Before we get to our next question, I just want to say hello, shout out some of the places people are joining us from. I see Seattle, Arizona, Georgia, Clearwater, Florida, Hollywood, so many amazing people. And thank you guys all for tuning in, joining us tonight. Nick Pick Thrift, she mentioned that you all look like young poshers, and I think she's spot on. I wanted to share that all three of these amazing poshers are part of our Posh On Campus program. They are reps for our campus program. So yes, these are, we were just talking before we went live, and it sounds like two had just recently graduated. Congrats. And one is on her senior year, and that's you, Serena, right? So yes, so we've got some people who are just breaking into it, bracing adulthood, right?
Yeah.
So, you guys may be young, but you have quite a bit of Poshmark history under your belt already. So I'd love to touch a little bit on how you got your start on Poshmark. And let's start with you, Casey.
So I started my kind of senior year, like after high school. I started because I was like, oh, I'm going to college soon. I need to, get rid of all this stuff that I have. So I started, selling my own clothes. And so I did that I actually was on Poshmark for a year before I started selling because I was kind of getting to know the app a little bit. And then I started selling my own clothes. And so my whole freshman year of college, I was just selling my own stuff. And then a year after that, I started reselling. So it's been 4 years since I've been on Poshmark. It actually, like 2 weeks ago or something like that, was my 4 year anniversary. Um, and so yeah, I really just wanted to get rid of stuff before, and now I've turned it into my small little business, and I'm so passionate about it, and it's like my little baby now. I love it.
That's so exciting. I can hear the passion in your voice.
Yep.
How about you, David? How did you get started?
So I've been poshing about as long as Casey. February of 2016 was when I first started. I actually stumbled upon Poshmark kind of by accident. It was actually after I found a pair of Ray-Ban like glasses in my neighborhood on my way to school that I did hold on, and I put wanted or found signs in the neighborhood to see if anyone would claim, and I waited a few weeks and then no one claimed them. So I was like, okay, might as well find their next home. And that was my first sale. And I started off selling, of course, a lot of my stuff, which at that time it was like, because I had just started in the retail world. So that was evolving. But what I did after I kind of started posting a lot of my stuff was I went to like my mom, aunt, family, friends, and I actually sold stuff on their behalf and took a little cut as a way to kind of branch off into women's apparel. And then, of course, further down the line, I'm not sure when exactly, but then I started sourcing a little bit here and there from Goodwill. But for the rest of high school, I was really actually just sourcing a lot of stuff from people that I consigned for.
Totally. And last but not least, Serena, tell us about your experience.
So I'm a senior now in college, but I started Poshmark when I was 17 because I needed a prom dress. And my family likes to say that I have expensive taste. So I knew that they weren't gonna haul out a couple $100 for a dress. So in February, I think, I started selling on Poshmark, and I had a lot of clothes that I just didn't wear anymore. I like to hoard my clothes. So I saw Poshmark and I thought, why not? Let's see how this goes. Within a couple days, I was starting to sell, and over time, I made enough to buy a dress, and I actually bought it off Poshmark because it was a great deal, and I already had the credit. So I got the dress, and after that, it just became a natural thing. Every time I didn't feel like I wanted something anymore, I just went right to my Poshmark, and as it kept going, I just kept getting more and more into it. I kept making more sales, and then I got hooked. So developing a business side to me really just came naturally, and it was just a fun experience to just dive into that so quickly.
I love about everyone's different approach and how they got started, the thing that inspired them. Thank you for sharing that, you guys. And I also wanted to share, look, you guys are getting a lot of love in the comments. Looks like a lot of your PFFs have shown up to support you tonight. So say hello to them. So I want to talk a little bit about sourcing now. I want to just ask you guys about, where do you get your inventory and how has your strategy evolved recently? We're all kind of having to re-examine how we're approaching things in our lives, including Poshmark. So let's touch a little bit on that. David, I know you mentioned that you purchase bundle boxes on Poshmark. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what that is and why it works for you.
So since kind of COVID hit and we kind of had to hunker down, I've purchased one bundle box off of Poshmark from somebody I followed on Instagram, who happened to be like, I'm doing, I think it was a 6 for $15 sale, and so I was like, that's a great deal. Looked at some stuff and made some selections, and that came really quick. And I've sold, I think, about half the things I've got. I've got about 9 items out of that. And that's a really good way for a lot of us poshers to source right now without putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable. in an actual store or Goodwill, even though I've seen plenty of, poshers do that. Some of us do have, there's risk to that, of course, with who we're living with and whatnot. So I think that's a really good way to, not spend a lot, just like you would at a normal Goodwill, but also support a fellow posher. And then since I've moved back in with my parents, I have started listing a lot of things from my closet that I've held on to for a while or haven't worn for many years. A lot of those things I was like, oh, I'll wear it one day for something, and then never wore it 3 years, 4 years, 5 years later. So I'm just kind of more switching back over to my own personal inventory at this time, or my own personal wardrobe selection.
That's great. And Serena, I know you already shared you like to limit your listings to items you would personally wear or fit your personal style. So aside from your closet, where are you getting your inventory?
I usually get a lot of my inventory from my own closet because I like to rotate my wardrobe a lot, and I usually buy my pieces off Poshmark. So whenever I feel like it's time or the seasons are changing, I like to pick things out of my closet that I just don't think will get as much love and list them. And usually they're a great way to just downsize my closet, as well as introducing new clothes as well that I purchase on Poshmark. Because like David said, I'm a big fan of supporting small businesses. And I feel like it's really important, especially in the environment today, that we kind of recycle our clothing over and over again until there's absolutely no point where they can be restored for wear, and then to incorporate it into something else. So there's not as much textile waste.
Yeah, totally. Yes, lots of love for that. And I think a little shameless plug for the reposh feature fits in very well right here. For if you're shopping on Poshmark a lot and you're ready to send it along to a new home, we do have this new reposh feature that makes it super easy to do that. So really great for the sustainability and to just continue to expand the life of any garment, really. So thank you for that. And Casey, I know you use a mix of online and offline sourcing when possible, of course. So tell us a little bit about that.
So before coronavirus, I did do a lot of thrifting at, local thrift shops. I like supporting the mom and pop stores around me. They don't really get a lot of people going in there, and they recognize me like ever since like my second time going in there, and they're always like, oh, hey, Casey, like, how are you doing? So I really love like those tiny little shops around me. And I do go to the Goodwill outlet centers, also called like the bins. And I was fortunate enough that when coronavirus hit, I had a huge death pile. So during coronavirus, I definitely got to get a lot of my inventory from my death pile. And I also started sourcing online like David did. I found like multiple closets who do 5 for 25, or, like mystery boxes and reseller boxes. And I've purchased a few of those. And by selling one item, you could triple the amount you spent. Like, don't sleep on Poshmark, guys. Like, so I really like just finding my groove really in both places has been really beneficial to me, because yeah, I don't know if it would be possible if I hadn't had like that drive and that love for this.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. For anyone who's tuned into past live streams, you've maybe heard me say that I like to call death piles opportunity piles, because there's a lot of opportunity in there. And just a little shout out, Nick Pick Thrift says she has a death room. Opportunity room, right? So just a little reset for anybody who's joining us recently. I'm here with Serena, David, and Casey, who are all sharing their experience and posh tips. As a reminder, feel free to drop questions or comments into the comment box here and include your Poshmark username. So, and also, if you want to see yourself in a live stream in the future, there is a form linked in the description of this video. And after the live, make sure you add yourself for consideration. So let's get back into it. I want to move now to the strategies you guys are using for making sales. Serena, I know you credit a lot to the people connection. Can you tell us more about that?
So I think branding is really important for any platform. And one of those ways you can do that is through social media. like all my hosts here today, we all have Instagrams dedicated to our Poshmark business, and it is a great way to connect with people of all backgrounds, of all accounts, and the more you post and they see those interesting posts, they want to connect with you and talk to you. I've made so many good friends that have given me so many great tips through my Instagram because they see that we share a common interest. And that's one of those things that just connects people and brings more people to your business.
And you, Casey, I'd love to hear about what strategies you're employing for your sales.
Definitely the new copy listing feature. Going through and relisting my stuff constantly has really, really helped pick up sales. And then also definitely the community aspect. I've made so many friends and so many connections just by reaching out to other people on Poshmark and being like, hey, like, by the way, did you know like this item, this is the style name? And like they'll put it in their listing and it'll sell immediately, and they'll come back to me and they're like, how did you know that? And then we like share tips and tricks, and then there you've made a friend and you've helped somebody out, like, and you've helped them grow their business. And then I've had many times where I've helped somebody out and they came back to share my closet to, you know, kind of thank me, and then they found something they liked and purchased from me too. So just making connections and having that traffic being being flown into your closet, and obviously share, that is like number one. Constantly share your closet. There's definitely, for almost everyone I've talked to, once you share your closet, you see there's a lot more traffic coming in than when you kind of leave it. So it's really, really helpful.
Totally. I totally agree. And David, I know you emphasize good customer service. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so aside from, trying to always provide new listings to my Poshmark, I really focus more on the experience and the customer service that I try to give to people that are looking at my closet. It is a completely different dynamic from providing customer service in person, which is something I've been very familiar with for almost half a decade working in retail in brick and mortar. But I kind of took all the lessons and experiences I've gained in person customer service and tried to apply it in my own kind of way to Poshmark. So in person, you really try to make that first approach, say, hi, how are you doing? What are you looking for? It's kind of different, of course, on Poshmark. So what I try to do instead, and what I've really been kind of successful with, is when people like an item or add it to a bundle, but usually when they like an item, that that shows some interest in that item. What I used to do when I started Poshmark was I would put a string, I'd at everyone who liked it and be like, hey guys, thank you for liking, open reasonable offers or something like that. And, that's what a lot of us sometimes do or used to do. And, did it work? Yeah, but also that's kind of out in the open, and it's not really personalized or tailored to the customer's experience, which is something that I'm really good at doing. So when it comes to really tailoring that experience, instead, I go to that person's Posh closet, go to the bundle, change it to seller view, so I can see that item, maybe add it to the bundle for them. But then that way you can comment on the bundle, and it's private. It's only you and the person who had liked that item. And you can be like, hey, so-and-so, thanks for the like. I saw you're interested in this item. Just so you know, I'm doing maybe 25% off 2+ items when you bundle, or I'm doing this other sale, or let me know if you have any questions. Try to really get that conversation started. It doesn't work all the time. Neither does it work all the time when you're in person, but it's a really good way of going that extra mile and really making the experience more personalized for the customer.
That totally makes sense. I think that is very important to making sales. So I know you guys mentioned a couple of Poshmark's tools and features already, but I want to talk about what other Poshmark tools or features you're liking. We did have a question about the copy listing feature, what that is and why that works. David, I know you mentioned you really are liking it. Do you want to explain a little bit about how you're using it and why it works?
Yeah, so I was really happy when Poshmark launched that feature in one of the more recent app updates. So the copy feature is just a really easy way to copy the entire listing into a brand new listing. And, you know, I personally used it for things that have become kind of stagnant. You know, they might have 9, 10 likes, and maybe a lot of people are sharing them and whatnot, but, you know, no one's biting, no one's offering, no one's asking questions. And it's kind of just sitting there, and, you know, maybe you're just dropping the price more and more until you get to, you know, $4. And it's like, you know, I'd rather push it back up, or let's, you know, give it some new life into it. So the copy feature is a really good way to give you a new listing, you know, gets rid of the likes and everything, and then you can start afresh. And it's really easy versus, you know, previous, if you wanted to do that, you would have to make a whole new listing, drag all the pictures over, all the, you know, details and everything, and kind of do it that way. This way it's just easy breezy.
So, Serena or Casey, do you guys have anything else to add about the copy listing feature? Okay. I want to talk a little bit about, Serena, I know you like the bundle feature. Tell us about how you're using it.
So I really like the bundle feature because let's say someone adds to a bundle a couple items, but they're not sure about the sizing. The bundle feature lets you talk to buyers on a more personal level because they're more private than rather having all their comments listed to the public. And I've had one instance is when I had a buyer, she didn't really know if the dress was going to fit her. So she provided me with all her measurements. And that way I was able to tell her like how it would fit, like if their measurements were right for, if this dress's measurements were right for her measurements. And a lot of people don't want to have that information out there. So it's definitely something you can use to like connect with them, with a buyer more, because you can really connect with them on a personal level. Something also that's great about it is that you can offer for bundles. Instead of just offering something, like offering a better discount for one item, you can offer it for an entire bundle, and you can really customize your pricing that way because it's just between you and the buyer, and it's not for the public. So it's definitely a tool that I really recommend.
And Casey, any other tools or features that come to mind for you that are helpful with your own Poshmark closet?
I wanted to add on, like with the bundle feature, I got a really great Posh tip from another Posher that I'd love to share, because using the bundle feature, like as Serena said, you can talk to somebody a little bit more privately, and they don't necessarily have to give out all their information like to everyone who looks at your listing. But another thing that I found is really, really awesome with making sales with the bundle feature is on closet clear out days. People will like your listing and maybe they're not quite ready to purchase. And so you might drop the listing price and nobody buys it. And then you're kind of stuck with that lower price. And with the bundle feature, you can comment on the listing and say like, hey, like, thanks for showing interest. I was wondering if you're kind of interested in purchasing today or if you're kind of window shopping. And that way I get a lot of responses like, oh, I'm just window shopping today. Like, and I'm like, okay, great. And that way I know, oh, don't necessarily drop the price right now because this person isn't interested in buying, and I can keep like my higher price. And then other times it gets somebody to respond to me and they're like, oh yeah, no, I'm really interested. Can you drop the price? And then I drop it and boom, instant sale. So using the bundle feature kind of like for yourself and others. Yeah.
Totally agree. And I think that it's really great to see the ways you guys are all using the bundle feature and all the features really in different ways that suit you best. So that's great. As I mentioned at the beginning of the live, that you guys are all reps in our Posh On Campus program. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how getting involved with the community has helped you personally and professionally. Casey, do you want to start?
So I honestly, I admire everybody in the Poshmark community because they've helped me grow so much. Just like that last thing I said, it came from another Posher. Like all these ideas, you can't really come up with everything on your own. Like you're always having room to grow and learn. And I wouldn't be where I am without everyone else. I made a really, really close friend on Poshmark a few years back And it was in that time period where I was still selling my own stuff, and I didn't even know like reselling was a thing really. And she kind of told me what her deal was with Poshmark, and she told me like she bought her like her first house just because of Poshmark. And I was like, oh my goodness, tell me more, like teach me. And then I learned that people also use Instagram kind of to like promote themselves and do this, and I didn't even think of something like that. And so I created a whole new business account for myself, and I like reached out to even more people there, and I'm following all these huge poshers that are like super well known. And there are other poshers who might not have a lot of followers, and they post like a tip and trick every day, and it still teaches me something new. And it's really just constantly about growth.
I think that's very well said. Um, and David, what can you share about your perspective on the same question?
So I'd say to start off, what sets Poshmark different from pretty much every other platform out there is the sense of community, and just how, there's so many millions of users, but, it's still tight knit. And it's because of opportunities like this, Posh on Campus, Posh Party Lives, the convention that unfortunately is not going to happen this year, and other opportunities like that, that really bring the community together. And, as Casey said, there's a lot of times where you learn things as you go along, because, you're not specialized in everything, that you're not a know-it-all of everything. On the other hand, though, being in this community, and being your own manager, merchandiser, financier, accountant, fulfillment, everything, sourcing, supply chain, it really teaches you a lot of responsibility to apply to the real world. And, this is something I have on my LinkedIn. I consider this part of my professional profile, because, there's so many things that you can learn. You can learn about, of course, customer service. You can learn about the fashion industry, of course. But you can also just really learn about, branding and time management, and really putting yourself out there and setting really good examples for yourself to build upon.
Absolutely. And Serena, how about you?
So my freshman year, my first semester, I wasn't a rep yet, and I was just bored out of my mind in my dorm room. There was just nothing to do. But my second semester, I became a rep, and I felt like it just changed my whole college experience. Every single weekend, I would go out with my roommates, and we would take pictures with our Posh on Campus sweaters, and just kind of make a whole big deal out of it with like photo shoots and just hanging out and talking about Posh on Campus. But like Casey and David said, one of the best things about the program is really the community. The community of people are just genuinely one of the nicest group of resellers I've ever met in my life. We have a group chat, and it's like, I think over 100 plus people. And we just get constant messages like supporting each other. Like if there's someone's having a sale, we would all like their messages and check out their closets and share items. And it's just really such a great community to be around. And we just get so many opportunities that not everyone, not all the sellers on Poshmark do get. And I feel like that just adds to the experience even more, because this is something that we're all doing to advance our careers. The best thing about it though is everyone that as a campus rep, they're people studying everything different. So we have scientists, we have nurses, we have business majors, we have art majors. Everyone is different, so they all have unique stories to give on how they started, and it's just so amazing to hear everyone's story and journey through this whole process.
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your experience with the Posh on Campus program. It's so great to hear straight from your guys' mouths how it's affected you. I wanted to switch to a question from the chat. Brittany's Brands, she asked, what is a Poshmark goal you want to accomplish before the end of 2020? So this one's a fresh one for you guys. Anybody have any goals that come to mind? Yeah, go for it, Casey.
So I have a big goal and a small goal. My small goal is I want to reach 100,000 followers on Poshmark. I'm close. I'm at 98, and so I feel like I could get 2,000 by the end of 2020. But it's still a goal for myself. And then I think my big goal is keeping up with my consistency, because now that I am graduated, I'm starting my first job on Thursday. So I'm really hoping to, keep up with my Poshmark and keep my love and passion and time for Poshmark as much as possible, even though I will be working full time. And, hopefully in like a few years and maybe even at the end of 2020, I can become Poshmark full time. So we'll see.
Maybe. Anything come to mind for you, David or Serena? David?
So one of my goals that I really want to make is to just have more listings by the end of 2020. I'm one of the smaller closets, and I just feel like once I have more listings, it can just, I don't know. I think about Poshmark as my portfolio. So whenever someone asks me like, "Oh, let me see your Poshmark account," and they'll see hundreds and hundreds of listings, they'll know that I'm really serious about my business and just think like, "Okay, she can be my mentor in this."
I'm curious, do you have a number goal in mind when it comes to the number of listings?
I think I have around almost 300 listings, and I definitely want to get to 500 by the end of the year, which is quite a bit considering sourcing right now is kind of hard, but I'm going to really try and make that my goal.
You can do it, Serena. And how about you, David?
I would say, just keeping things current, and always, putting some fresh listings into my closet. I mean, Serena, 300 listings is great. I only have I think right now 83. But, whenever I, spend an afternoon, a couple hours looking through my wardrobe, and I'm like, oh, I don't really need that. It's really got an opportunity to list. And, a few kind of other goals that I kind of have are, of course, gaining more followers on the platform. It's been great to see that number go up and up and up over the years as I've become more and more involved, Posh Ambassador, affiliate, campus rep, and so on and so forth, as I'm sure a lot of us have. And then also, I mean, Poshmark has been a really, really great avenue to make that extra cash on the side, to really make myself feel a little better about some of my spending habits back in the past couple of years. So, especially since COVID has hit, I haven't been spending a lot. But when I do spend, I try to reflect out on only what I sell online on Poshmark and try to balance myself out and keep myself, under reins. And that's kind of something that I want to try to keep doing for the rest of the year. And I should probably keep doing that for a while until I really get a nice job that I won't necessarily have to worry about that strict of a budget. But it's a really good tool and highly recommend it to everyone too.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's a really good way to, kind of one in, one out type situation. So that's great. I think somebody said this in the chat earlier, but you guys all have really good heads on your shoulders. And I think that there's a lot to be learned from you guys. Thank you for sharing this. As we're wrapping up, I want you guys to reflect on, again, when you first started on Poshmark. And this question's kind of for anybody who's just getting their closet up and running. What do you wish you had known when you first started on Poshmark that you know now? What advice would you give to yourself? How about, let's see, David, do you want to go first with this one?
Sure. I mean, just like any other social platform, when you're starting off, it can be kind of daunting. It's a big platform as of when, you open up your Facebook for the first time, or Instagram or Twitter or something like that. So, I mean, when I definitely started off, I was maybe a little bit shy, or I wasn't quite sure of what to do, because there's a lot of different things that you learn over time. And, my recommendation for those just starting on Poshmark is just like starting school, it's just like starting a new job. You will learn the ropes over time. And because of our really tight-knit community, you can reach out to anyone on the platform. If you follow people on Instagram through the platform, to kind of mentor you through the process of kind of establishing your own true identity on the Poshmark platform. So that's something I definitely recommend to people that are starting out. You know, reach out to any of us. We'd love to answer questions and kind of guide you through the beginning phases.
That's great. And Serena, how about you?
Something that I just wish I knew when I first started was not to worry about the numbers. When I first joined and started selling, I saw people with hundreds of thousands of followers, hundreds of listings, many comments in their listings, and that just kind of freaks me out when I first started because I was getting like 2 likes on all my listings, maybe one comment asking about measurements, like no sales, and that just intimidated me for a while, honestly. But as time progressed, I realized that none of those numbers really matter as much as a lot of people may think. And it's really all the effort that you put into it. When you connect with sellers, you get more business. And that's why I really push connecting with sellers, because it really helps you with your business. It helps you make really good relationships and friends throughout this community. And I just wish I knew that when I first started.
That's a really good thing to mention. I think that certainly if you focus a lot on the numbers, it can be really intimidating to try and think, oh, I've got to build all this up. But really, if you think about it, break it down, you can make a sale with just one listing and no followers if you have an excellent listing, right? So I think that's a really good note. And last but not least, Casey, what advice would you give to yourself when you were starting Poshmark?
A big thing I always say is you don't have to have the biggest and the best of equipment. So since we're all college students or just college students a couple months ago, it's really hard to necessarily have a bunch of money to spend getting ring lights and having a huge place to have a gorgeous setup and stuff like that. So I love sharing my story about my dorm, which from one wall to the other wall, it was 6 feet. And so I stood up on my dorm bed, and on the other side of the wall, I had like a little shelf. And so I just put my phone up there on a timer, and I opened my window for natural light, and I just stood on my bed and kind of did some awkward model shots. And that was my setup for, and it still basically is. Now that I'm back home, I do that exact thing at home. But you can't necessarily always afford the best things because, hey, we were college students. Like, that's our thing. But just getting creative and being confident in yourself and just finding your own style, because you don't have to, look like everyone else. You don't have to do what everyone else does. You just find what works for you. And that is something I really wish I would have known, because I kept trying to compare myself to other people when I first started. And for a time I got kind of discouraged, and I was like, wow, I'm nothing like this. And now, I've hit over 600 sales, and I'm going, and it's just, again, it's one of my biggest passions. So just being confident and being creative is my biggest thing.
Totally. And I think it's great to just keep it simple and invest where you feel passionate about investing. You don't have to do it all, be everything. You can do what feels right for you. And I think I'm constantly, I feel like, reminded when I talk to the Poshmark community that there's no one right way to do Poshmark. And I think just hearing your guys' stories is another example of that. So thank you guys so much for sharing your experience and your tips. Everyone who's joining us live, please help me thank David, Serena, and Casey for sharing everything with us. Make sure to give them lots of Posh love. And then before we wrap up, I want to go around one more time and have you guys say your Poshmark username and your Instagram handles, just so we can all stay in touch. People can ask any follow-up questions. Feel free to reach out to these guys. I know they're more than happy to answer your questions. So let's go with David.
All right. First of all, I just want to say thanks to Poshmark and the Posh Squad and everyone for giving us this opportunity to share our experiences. And I look forward to talking to people on Poshmark and sharing and spreading that Posh love. My Posh handle is FabFashion123, and my Instagram is FashionTheGagaCat6.
Love it. And Casey.
So again, I'm Casey, and my Instagram username is anything.is.poshable. I tried to be a little punny there. And then my Poshmark username is Fashion Boost.
Awesome. And Serena?
Like what Dave was saying, thank you guys for coming. My name is Serena, and my Instagram and Poshmark handles are at styled_by_Senna.
Awesome. Make sure you go connect with these guys everywhere and keep in touch. And if you want to share your experience in a future Level Up Live, make sure to fill out the form linked in the description. And be sure to subscribe to our channel to stay in the loop for our future live streams. But until then, happy poshing, everyone. Thank you.
Hi, thank you.